Good morning and welcome to it. It is the last hour of the Power Zone here on Power 98.7. Grateful for another opportunity, really, to be in your presence this morning. If you just joined us, welcome to the show. My name is Katlego Logodi, and we are in the last stretch of it together, me and you, here on the Power Zone on Power 98.7 together until the hour 3 o'clock. You know that we're coming to you live from our Houghton studios here in the city of Johannesburg, and I'm very, very excited about this next chat because it speaks to black girl magic. It speaks to it's basically going against all odds. It speaks to breaking the stereotypes and challenging the status quo to just become the best that you can be. So at this hour, I'm in conversation with a 24-year-old Amanda Nomka. If you don't know who she is, trust me, at the end of the show, you'll be knowing her pretty well, having a pretty idea of the amazing work that she does, and we'll get to know a little bit about her and the amazing work that she has done, especially being crowned Forbes Africa's Young Achiever. Hey, so that is not a small one, it's a big deal, and we felt that we should invite her onto the show this morning to just reflect on that and speak to her about the day-to-day challenges but that she experienced also in becoming the formidable force that she is at this point in time, and how she managed to just really overcome all of those challenges, becoming, of course, one of the youngest people to be crowned with the Young Achievers Award 2022, as an agent of change, as a youth leader, as a passionate person who works in the youth empowerment and entrepreneurship space, in the education space that she works in, and also, community development is also one of the things that I really am. They're close to my heart, right? Because it's always better and commendable when one does the work to uplift the communities that they come from. So this is one person that comes from Kokasi, and she managed to make sure that she reaches those heights, she reaches those global stages, and she continues to do beautiful work here at home. So a lot to talk about this morning, a lot to talk about this hour with Amanda. Like I always say, you are our very own VIP on the show, so let's do it together. I'll be so glad to hear your thoughts on 0861 987 000 as we reflect on the beautiful work that Amanda is doing, and also as we just get to gauge and encourage black girls to tap into their potentials and to tap into their power so they can be like Amanda. If you want to wish her well, if you want to just be part of this conversation, if you know Amanda and you just like to reflect on the person that she is and where she is right now in life, you're welcome to call us on 0861 987 000, on Twitter at PowerFM 987, the show being hashtag PowerZone. On Facebook, we're coming to you on a PowerFM, coming to you live, as I said, from our Houghton studios here in the city of Johannesburg. So without further ado, let me bring her into the conversation. Amanda, welcome to the Power Zone.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor it is to be live on this station.
Yeah, I mean, it's in my intro there, just mentioning the beautiful work that you do, and you're still young, only at age 24, and you're already breaking boundaries, right? You're one person that is really, I would like to believe that you're a role model to a whole lot of young people here in South Africa, especially where being crowned South Africa Forbes as African Young Achievers with that award in 2022 is something that is really commendable. Maybe let's start the show by letting us in on who Amanda is, and then we'll get into the different works that you do within the communities and the various spaces that you occupy. Who is Amanda?
Okay, Amanda Namla. I am 24 years old. I grew up in Ivory Park. It's a township that is normally known. It's normally said that Ivory Park is one of the dustiest community or environment. Very high populated, high poverty stricken with a lot of socio-economic issues. I grew up there. However, in my childhood, I went to different primary schools which made me not to have a sense of belonging. I've went to different primary schools, and it's something that I had no control over because we have our parents, and there are other decisions that you cannot run away from, and they get to affect you somehow. I then, and in me actually being in different primary schools, because that's where it all started actually. I've been also in different provinces. There was a time where I had to do isiZulu as my home language, move to another province and do isiPedi as my home language, then come back this side, do isiZulu as my home language finally. And that has just really been something I had no control over, but affected me in a way that I never had a normal childhood. And also growing up in a family whereby we see things that we talk about these days openly about gender-based violence happening at home, as well as not having access to so many things that you would love to have access to as a child, meaning that freedom of playing with other kids. You always have to come back home to make sure that everything is okay. So I consider or call myself a very brave young girl, and with everything that has happened in my childhood, it has actually taught me to become more resilient. I'm so glad that it's something that never completely broke me, but actually made me to want to do more. So where I actually finally managed to be in the same school was when I went to the high school that I went to, which is at Executive Secondary School, a local school, and I matriculated in 2014. And well, I've always wanted to be in a space where I'm able to help other people. I say this because growing up as a child, they always say that as a child, so many things that happen that they affect your decisions when you grow up, and hence it's very important to deal with your traumas or whatever that happened to you as a child, because it comes back to you. But because we are different people, it's either it breaks you or it makes you. So I then finished my studies and I studied nursing. I completed it, but it was a bit, it wasn't very, very nice because I had to experience people dying all the time, and it will just dampen my spirit. And then later on, what happened is that I used to use social media as my escape, whereby I will be one person that everything looks okay. I'll just post a picture, share it, So I always share this positive energy because I think I never wanted people to get to know how hard it was or how I'm not coping. So me just showing a picture, it will just be something that will make me feel better. Cut the long story short, I then got to Black Like Me because I had natural hair and I was recognized there, and I was asked to actually look for young girls that could promote the brand. And the platform that I used was social media, and that's where it started, being able to connect with other different girls in Gauteng and being able to offer them trainings, and that's where in fact, they would get paid to do that. So I managed to bring different girls together, and I was like, okay, cool. I have it on me to be able to bring people in the same place, and they get to benefit something. I became the ambassador of Black Like Me. Then from there, I went and I studied IT, and I was interested in the health field as well as the tech field, because in high school my subjects revolved around your science, your life science, as well as your computer application technology. Then I fitted my studies and I did IT, and with that, after that happened, after completing that course, I then started a company which was a Wi-Fi company, and it was actually making sure that I bring internet services or access to the people around in the township so that they could be able to be empowered, because we live in a world where it's mostly digital, and it's important that people get to have access to the internet. So my target market was only the township people around where I am. I would service them with that. And that was also the same year I started my organization, SheIsBrave, and other things followed after that.
I mean, wow, looking at the fact that SheIsBrave really just speaks to what you've just told me and how you just described yourself, starting from a young age and moving around like that, and also just managing to find that whole point of just stability in high school and managing to complete and moving into the field, the medical field, nursing, and moving to IT. You're still one person that works a lot with the communities that we come from. So I guess it really was influenced by the history and the experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for you to be where you are.
Absolutely. It was influenced by how I grew up, and at times it also depends on when certain things are happening to you currently, right? What is it that you are hearing? Who are the people around me? In as much as with the reason SheIsBrave was started, it was because growing up there was like a lack of mentorship and empowerment. I wished I belonged in certain groups, in certain spaces where I could escape what was happening at home. But at that time, in the places that I was placed in, I never had access to that. So it was all about what can I hear. And also another thing that played a huge role or contributed was with church, because my escape would be knowing that I go to church and I was a youth participate, and I think my escapes are the one that also helped me to have a better way of approaching life, and having someone who is there to listen and to ask you how you are, basically mentor. So your mentor could be someone who is in church or around, but having just that one person that can listen to you and is able to not let you dwell in what you are going through at the moment, but you see the bigger picture.
Yeah, I mean, spirituality and the foundation is really something that a whole lot of young people, I guess, would really want to have to lean towards, right? When the challenges of the world tend to become too much, most of the people would tend to tell you that, I found solace in just embracing my spirituality, and I found peace and strength in knowing very well that amid whatever is happening in this world, there's that supernatural power that I can always depend on, that will always come through. So is that something that really you would encourage young people to look into in working on their spiritual side?
Absolutely. Personally, as someone that grew up in a Christian home, the spiritual element for me is important and critical, because I look at that as something that is important, because I see God as my creator. This is someone that created me and that knows me better. So if I am struggling, I'm not doing well, it makes sense for me to go in the Word and hear what He has to say about me. And, I respect people's religion. I respect what people believe in. But I would say it's important for someone to have something that they lean on. If you believe that your way is Christ, have something or have a source of power where you gain strength, where you feel better. It's very important, especially on the spiritual level, because now this is you. This is not what you do or what you are capable, but it is you working on your mental health. It's you working on how you have to make decisions. You need to be strong first before you can show up out there. People are different. Other people have strong characters. We know people with strong personalities, that it takes so much time for them to break, but eventually they get to, but it's a bit better. And then we have other people that need to be lured. They need to have someone helping them to go through certain things. We all do, but we are different. As I say that with others, it becomes so easy for them to bounce back because of what they listen to and what is their source of power or of strength. So it could be in your spiritual level or just that one person that you have. But I think it's important to connect with yourself where it's only you and that thing that you believe in that you can draw strength from or courage.
Yeah, I mean, here we're talking about a person that is so young in their own approach, being you, Amanda, and we're talking about this world that we live in that has a whole lot of challenges that are experienced by young people. You spoke of the ills that exist in the communities. You spoke of issues of gender-based violence that you were exposed to as a young person. You spoke to issues of their childhood that you say it wasn't a normal childhood because you had to move around a lot, changing schools, but then you managed still to push through and make it through. Was that some sense of a community coming to help you to be where you are, or you just had to be resolute in saying that, you know what, I know who I am, I know my background, and I'm not gonna influence whatever is happening around me to shape my future. I'm going to be resilient in the way I approach this thing called life, to a point whereby you avoided all of the noises that are happening around you.
So before high school, I was with grade 7. I was back here in Ivory Park from being in Limpopo and Gauteng. So when I came back, I was still in the primary level. And as I've mentioned that with Ivory Park, it's a place, so it's a community where there's so many people in it that have lost hope. People that are in poverty, and there's so much happening. I didn't want to live like that. It didn't make me happy. I wanted to do it differently, and therefore I tried by all means not to allow that to get to me or to break me. So my escapes, and I say escape because as people we have different escape when you are not happy with something, and I think it's one of the things that get to lead people into addiction of different things. So my escape became reading. My escape became being involved. So when I went to high school, I remember I was very short and tiny, and when they spoke about having to elect the new leadership for the school, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be brave. I'm going to do things differently. I want to be the change that I want to see. I do not want to be stuck where everyone else is stuck. And then that's when I went to the program, and I wanted to be the RCL, the school representative learner, and stand for other learners. I just wanted to lead. I wanted to find my space. I wanted to find myself in a space where I'm able to come up with different programs or those groups, because there's so much. I felt like there's so much what other kids or my peers were going through, and they couldn't speak about that. I just wanted to do something different, and being in that space, I felt it was going to help me. And really, my escapes were being in leadership at school, being in debate and public speaking. So it was a blessing in disguise that actually contributed so much in the work that I am doing. So I think also what helped me was finding myself, distracting myself with what worked for me, because it could have been other different things, like it happens with other people.
I mean, you do a lot of work, Amanda, with young people, and I would like to believe that it starts from home, right? It starts in the areas and the communities that we come from, in pushing that activism work and advocacy work. So I would like to believe that you have young people from Ivory that you're working with, and that are looking to you because you're one person that appears to have been resilient, and you are an example that shows that, you know what, where we come from doesn't have to define where we're going, and then where we're going as well. As much as we are there, we don't have to forget where we come from, so that we can plow back and give back into the communities that we come from. Is there a young group that you're working with? And maybe just let us in also on SheIsBrave. Let us in on that initiative and that work and that campaign. Is it something that SheIsBrave would see you then involving all of this community members to form part of this organization?
Okay. What SheIsBrave, it's a non-profit organization, formally registered 2018. We've been operating and working 2018. Our target is young girls and women from all walks of life. And with SheIsBrave, it aims to address the lack of empowerment and mentorship around girls and young women. Empowerment and mentorship is very critical for girls and young women. This is a state whereby they are able to learn, unlearn, and relearn certain things. So we invest formal and non-formal skills to empower girls and young women to successfully compete to the right job market. So we do have your adolescent girls as well as the young people, those who have matriculated and have nothing to do after matric, or they are not sure where they want to be at. So we make sure that we empower them with skills which will help them to compete for the right job market, and they can be able to access the social economic opportunities. And we also navigate around gender-based violence, poverty, and their well-being. And we also drive the gender mission to advance gender equality through advocacy and campaigning. So the programs that we have, one of the programs we run for young people, unemployed people, or from after matric, we do the digital skills. So with the digital skills, we make sure that we offer them the training, and then there's an online course they do. This was also bred from me being the international Google certified skills trainer, where I train young people, unemployed, job seekers, or start-up businesses on how to have the digital element to their businesses. And so for adolescent girls, we also run empowerment events. We do motivational school drives in schools. We have the girls that are volunteering at the organization of SheIsBrave. They are mentors to the adolescent girls. So there's different groups with different mentors. So we also focus more on life skills and personal development. I think personal development is very critical, especially on teaching young girls on how to navigate the issues that they come across, where to get help and advice, and how they have to make certain decisions. Because without being equipped, or without you not being able to make informative decisions, you will not be able to receive anything that you'll be given. For example, I could make an example with my community. I've got to understand a lot of young people why they are discouraged, because there's so many things weighing them. We come from different backgrounds and we are affected by things differently. One of the most important questions I always ask, and that I don't take for granted, is how are you? I know at times we ask people how they are and they will just quickly answer to brush it off. But the moment you ask someone how they are, and genuinely, and they just say, I'm good, when you start asking them what's good and they stutter, they cannot even explain, that's when you can try and make sure that you ask them properly and engage with them, and you will understand and hear and understand where they are. Because we have certain opportunities that could be in townships, right? There could be a program, or there could be singing in the closest community hall. People must come and submit their things. People are discouraged. They don't even see the need to do that because they're so weighed down, So hence, I think it's critical to focus on the empowerment of their well-being. And once we focus on how they think, the mindset, and conquering the poverty of their mind, like as I quote in Mazwana's book, that conquering the poverty of the mind helps you and allows you to be able to receive certain things and to be developed. Because you can give people material stuff or resources, but if they're not empowered, then they won't be able to use that properly. So I think the greatest gift you can give one is helping them think better and conquer the poverty of the mind. Then they will be able to fish for themselves properly, and whatever they will fish for will be sustained and will last forever.
Have we seen young people approach you, especially in the community of Ivory, for you to mentor them, for you to help them out, for you to just let them in on the wisdom of being where you are? As I said, you are a role model, someone that people are looking up to. And I guess in the community of Ivory as well, that is where we're seeing, a lot of, like you've mentioned, a lot of challenges that exist on the ground. And most of the young people, it's easy for one to get discouraged. It's easy for one to just more or less lose hope in terms of what the world has to offer. Have you been approached by that, and how are you handling this?
Sure. I have. I've mentored so many girls, my peers, and what makes me happy is that with the people that I've mentored, that I've decided to give my time and advice, where they are today, they're on another different level. They're operating better. So it's something I've been doing, and I'm seeing results of it, and I'm continuously doing it. So with SheIsBrave, what I do every year, we do a voluntary intake where different girls get to volunteer their time to give to other girls. And in the midst of all of that, while they are trying to develop and take in what carry the organization's vision, as they empower others and get to facilitate and do those other programs, they also get to be empowered. They also get to learn so many things about themselves, and that helps them and it forces them to focus. Because as a leader or as someone who's trying to set an example, you definitely have to lay down your life. There's certain things that you cannot do anyhow. There's things you cannot do because you are an example. You are trying to set a better picture. So absolutely, there's been a lot of young people and girls that others have matriculated who are in a better state because of the programs that we've offered through SheIsBrave, and personally me making time to mentor and give my time to those girls. And that makes me happy. It's actually something that's continuously doing, and not only in Ivory Park or in just my country, but I also have other young people that approach me on my socials to request just a session, to talk to me. Young people with great, ideas, things that they want to do, but just stuck on a few things, where they just need to talk about and be advised and be guided. Because as I said that, it's also hard to pour out from an empty cup. You can have this great idea, but if you're not okay, then no one even asks you, how are you? No one can try see how far you are doing things, and it becomes difficult to execute anything that will have results.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I'm in conversation with Amanda Nomka, and then we're just basically talking about the work that she does, the work that she has been doing over the years. She's a young person who's a powerhouse in the work that she does, and she was just letting us in on, where she comes from and what really drives her, what pushes and influences her in terms of the day-to-day work that she does. I'm encouraged to know that she's one person that through the SheIsBrave Women Empowerment and Advocacy Organization, she's dealing with a lot of issues that are affecting young people. She's dealing with a lot of issues that more or less we're seeing them really exist, that can dampen one's spirit, that can discourage one, just proving against all odds that where you come from doesn't really have to define where you are going. And I'm sure that the community of Ivory Park, Amanda, is very, very proud of the young person that you are. I mean, but just let us in on how they got to take the news that you are part of the South Africa Forbes Africa Young Achievers 2022 award recipient. Tell us about that journey.
Sure. So personally, and with SheIsBrave, we are involved in a lot of stakeholders forums. So we believe in collaboration, working with a lot of people, organizations that are doing the same work that we are doing. So also with being in Ivory Park, so people get to know about my work and what we do. So with Forbes, in fact, when I received an email that I've been nominated for this award, sure, it was crazy. I'm like, whole Forbes, There are times you get to do things, your work. It's what you love. It's what you're passionate about. And that's what I love about what I do. It's something that fulfills me, whether there's money there or no money. It's fulfilling to make a difference because it lasts forever, So I got the email and I was told that the awards will be happening. In fact, yes, I was told about I got informed, and there's certain things I had to submit. And the date was set, and I was set to travel to Uganda when the awards were happening, but luckily they were online, so I had to attend a conference in Uganda. I had to represent my country and the other organization that I volunteer for, which is an international one. And when I received the news, actually it was first because I missed it because we had a dialogue that was happening in one of the universities. As I said, that I was in Uganda, and now I saw my Twitter is buzzing. I'm getting calls. I'm getting WhatsApp calls and messages, and it was crazy because the news got to people before me, and I was celebrated. It was, to be celebrated by people, the people that you can't, like the people that you live with. It's something else because they know you. You cannot fake impact. You cannot fake what you have done. They really thought deserved it. For our local newspaper publishing that everywhere, it was it was great news to them. It was something that, in fact, they celebrated with me, and it was really such a great honor for me to have be the recipient of the Forbes Young Achievers Award, because there were literally 8 categories, 8 people that were selected, and amongst the people that received the awards, amongst the people that received the award, there was Dr. Phumzile, who is my role model, like the former UN woman. She's been with the UN woman for 2 times, and I am very inspired by the work that she does, and to be recognized in the same space with her, for me, it was such a great honor, and it was just like, it's basically alignment. I'm in the right track, and it was just encouragement to do more, to say that this is it. And I loved how my community got to celebrate me and everyone around, and I also got a special call from my mentor, which is Mazwane, who she literally made time in her busy schedule to congratulate me in person and celebrate me, because she's one of the people also in our community who look up to her, who broke boundaries, with the big shisanyama that she owns. And she made time and she congratulated me. And for me, that was an affirmation to say, I'm in the right track. My community, the people around are celebrating. People cannot celebrate what is not real. Like I said, you cannot fake impact. You cannot fake the work that you've done, especially when it's people that have seen you in the ground.
No, it's really, really encouraging, because when I came across the fact that here is a young girl from Ivory, she's 24 years old, and she's now a recipient of that Africa Young Achievers Award, and she's one person that is really doing a great job in all the spheres and the sectors that she's involved in. I just thought, let's just invite you onto the show and just get your pearls of wisdom as we congratulate you around that Forbes win. What does it come with, and are there some sort of embedded responsibilities that you have to partake as a recipient of this award?
Well, unfortunately not, and I think it's something that I would like to address or just share, that in as much as young people are in the spaces and doing recommendable, great work, there isn't really so much support for the work that we do. At times, it looks like we are given that support, but we literally just get recognized. Yes, you could be recognized in good spaces, but it would be just more nice whereby they're not just given tokens that just for that day, for that moment. So it doesn't come with so much. I'm happy to have received it, but I would just love that our head of states, not only in South Africa but in the continent, they get to do better with supporting and recognizing recognizing young people. In as much as we still say that we are the ones to lead the generation, we are the ones we've been waiting for, but we are still fighting to really be the decision makers. We're really still fighting to really be in the spaces where we are trusted. Young people by the relevant authorities, they're still not really given the space that they need to be in. They're still not given the proper support that they should be receiving for what they are doing. So it's still a journey that we are and as a young activists, we are still fighting, where we we are relevant. We need to be supported the right way. We need to get the right, given the responsibilities to carry certain tasks and work. So, yeah, the struggle continues, but hopefully we'll get there on the other side where it looks better.
Yeah, I mean, more than anything else, I'm encouraged by the fact that this also opens a lot of doors and opportunities for you to be recognized as someone that is really, really a game changer in this game of, or in this thing called life, because the world right now is in need of young people that are active in the communities that they stay in, young people that are, I always preach active citizenship here on the show to say that, listen, wherever you are, in whatever space that you occupy, just make sure that you are active, There's something that you're doing to change someone's life. There's something that you're doing to change the status quo, and just the way you are, in the circles that you operate in or you find yourselves in, just always push to make an impact and just to play a role. And I have no doubt that you having received this award, it will open more doors for you in terms of more awards that are still to come. Also looking at the beautiful work that you're doing at SheIsBrave.
Thank you. I hope so, definitely. I hope that it reaches, or also with people listening, that it reaches the right people that also get to have the heart for this. I believe that each and every person has something different to offer. People, through conversation, through small deeds, I definitely advocate for being the change that you want to see and contributing to something and making the world a better place or making one's life better, because that is fulfilling. I don't know, but for me personally, that's fulfilling, and it helps us to live in a better environment when we are able to do things, because I believe that we are puzzles, how puzzles have different pieces, and that's the thing with my team. That's what I see. It's that with my team and the girls that get to volunteer that I work with, is that it's puzzles, different sizes, but when they are combined together, they make a beautiful picture. And that's also what the world needs. Let us just be different puzzles that contribute into creating that bigger picture.
I'm one thing that I really get to appreciate is the fact that we play our parts, we play our roles in changing the community. And trust me, good deeds never go unnoticed. So whatever you're doing that is great. I know that you're involved in a whole lot of humanitarian work as well, delivering food parcels and doing all of that. And good deeds really, really never go unnoticed. Maybe tell us about the humanitarian work that you're involved in, and how can people rally behind SheIsBrave and help you in the humanitarian work that you do? Because I would really like to believe that a whole lot of humanitarian work, as one is doing, delivering food parcels, it's mostly about collaboration. So you would need a lot of people to put in their resources and help as you push to achieve that goal. Tell us about the humanitarian work that you're involved in.
Okay, so with the humanitarian work that I'm involved with, we distribute food parcels, and I speak good proper food parcels. A parcel that can accommodate a family and can last for a month. And last year, during the whole looting, together with one of the foundations called Mahlasedi Foundation, in collaboration, we handed out food, and I selected Ivory Park. I had to actually also provide an area where they could come and also do food parcels. And, while we were doing that, because as I've said that with Ivory Park, it's a very populated community in one yard. So we had to literally give only one food parcel to a family or to a yard. But when you get there, you find that there's like over multiple 30 families, people living in the same yard. Yeah. And it was a challenge. It was heartbreaking because we wanted to make sure that everyone gets, but now not everyone could get. So We did, I think, over 2,000 food parcels in the homes, and whereby in one home you have to give more than 2. You have to give about 5 food parcels, and they have to share what was there. But because luckily it was bigger packages. At least one can have their 12.5 maize meal, the other one can get sugar or something. That's what we had to eventually option for. So as much as our people can need to be empowered, but other people need food. People need sanitary pads, girls. I cannot I cannot stop talking about how important that is, and we still haven't reached to a point whereby girls have sanitary pads, because it's something that strips off a girl's dignity or a woman's dignity when they are not able to cover and have whatever they need for that. So we did the food parcel, the distribution. It was a success, although we could not cover everyone, but it made a huge difference. And absolutely, it works with collaboration. We need a lot of people to jump in, to come in that space, so that we are able to end poverty. Poverty is really a problem. It is there. But I think what I like and appreciate with SheIsBrave is that we're not only just focusing on giving people just food or certain things, but the skills as well, which I think it's important, because once one has that, it becomes easier for them to be able to fish and provide for themselves. So one of the things that we are currently looking for or doing is with our digital skills, we want to have enough computers, internet, whereby we can reach out to a lot of young people that can be skilled and trained to be trained with the digital skills. And we need more resources. We need your laptops, actually internet, and while they can be trained and have relevant certificates that's credited, then others are able to start their online businesses. Others are able to know how to apply properly for the job. Others are able now to be employed in certain industries, and they can be able to compete for the relevant job market.
Yeah, I want to touch on the people that you mentioned as your mentors. You mentioned Mamzwani. This is someone that you really looked up to in terms of the work that you do and growing up in the community. You've also mentioned Mama Phumzile Mlambo Nquka. You were crowned alongside her at Forbes, and it's just someone who's done a great job in advocating for women issues.
Yes.
When she was at the United Nations as the director for human in the space, and it's someone that really has done very well in making sure that they represent South Africa. They're making sure that they put South Africa on the map. How important is it? Serving as an executive director of the United Nations Women is just something that really is big, and how important is it for one to have a mentor and to have someone that they look up to, like you did in your Phumzile Mlambo Nquka and Mazwani, who's your mentor even as we speak?
It's very important to have someone that you look up to and that you can learn from, because that's the space that you want to be at. And what I like about these days with our generation is that you don't have to be in contact with people all the time. Just by seeing their work, what they're doing, gets to inspire you. Their work ethic is represented on what they share and on the news that you get to hear. Because remember, people that we aspire to be like and also inspired by are people that are very busy. They don't have enough time to just sit there with you and share this amazing ways of doing things. But I've learned to learn from a distance. I've learned to observe how they do things from a distance. So firstly with Dr. Phumzile, how I got to really like how she's doing things, and also holding that position that she's held for so many years with so much power and being able to come up with different programs under it. It was when I also got elected as a Secretary General for JALNU, which is a United Nations network. Yeah. So what it does, the organization focuses on driving the Sustainable Development Goals, driving the Agenda 2030, and I remember when I had to organize a side event that was happening in New York with my team. And I'm like, it's because of people who have broke boundaries, people like Dr. Phumzile who've been there, you know. It makes it a bit easy for us to feel like we belong in the spaces without any imposter syndrome. So 2019, I went to New York. I organized a side event with my team from different countries, and we had a monitoring and evaluation work conference, basically. Meanwhile, a General Assembly was happening, which happens every year in New York around September, where different world leaders meet there and they share the progression of their countries and what's happening. And currently we know that the biggest goal is achieving the 2030 goals. And it's basically, the side event was on how are young people being involved and participating with these goals, you know, and what support is it needed? Are we seeing any results? So it's basically having different world leaders discussing, sharing that, and what are the challenges and what are the struggles, and going back to our own UN agencies or helping them to say, this is what they need to get, this is what needs to be covered, because for every country has different problems and different things that they're focusing on, especially with traveling in Africa and attending different conferences and having to do my work as a secretary. I've learned that as young people, we have the same issues, but we also have different issues, you know, how we are dealing with teenage pregnancy and how they're dealing with it at West Africa or not, it's completely different, you know. So it's one of the things I've learned to adapt, I've learned to do things differently. Then coming to Mazwane, luckily she's someone that gets to make time. I get to meet up with her, and because where the first Chisanyama is, it's close to the school that I went to. And she stands out. As I've said that, you know, we are so privileged to see or to be inspired by seeing from a distance. So I was inspired by her work before I even get to meet her and have a conversation with her. Normally when there were motivational school drives around Ivory Park, she'll be invited to come speak to us. And I was like, sure, one day just to sit with this woman and hear how she conquered the poverty of the mind, because that's one of her books. It speaks about conquering the poverty of the mind, not allowing or letting whatever that's happening around you to define you. And so I think it's very important to have someone to have someone who is doing better and on a better level than you. It helps you to believe so much in yourself, and it also helps you to do better and know that it is possible to achieve whatever that you set your mind to it.
And, you know, I'm encouraged by the fact that at least there's that sense of reality in terms of the people that we basically look forward to. Or we look up to, basically, like your Mamphumzile Mnambo. You're talking about how your mentor can be someone that is very, very busy. But I guess at this point in time, you have to make sure that you keep in touch. You have to make sure that you track whatever they are doing on a daily, so that you don't more or less lose that connection altogether and get discouraged because of the fact that my mentor is not within my reach. So that means I'm unable to really achieve whatever I want to achieve because this person that I'm looking up to is not within my reach.
I think you just have, you grow a thick skin and understand that they cannot be available for you all the time. But what works for me is being able to keep track of what they are doing, you know. So with Dr. Phumzile, it's not someone I've met in person, by the way, but there's so much that I've grasped, I've gained just in webinars, online conversations that happen. That's where I've got to interact with her. But as I've said, that people, they're very busy, the ones that we want to work with. So it's okay, the ones that we are inspired, they are busy. But for me, what works for me is the results, what they are producing becomes enough, you know. And then with Mazwane, it's someone that relates. She's from the same same environment. When I say something, she gets it immediately. She understands it, you know, because we're from the same environment. We're dealing with the same people. So, I think get a mentor, get someone that you can have conversation, that you can have access with. And you need to be very intentional about what is it that you are looking for, communication of expectations, so that you can grow and be able to gain something that will help you become a better person. Because sometimes people claim to want mentors, but they just like the idea of a person and they're not able to get what is supposed to help them grow at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I love the fact that, you are doing work with the United Nations, the United Nations Youth Network. But just let us in on, what you're currently working on. I know you spoke about those sustainable development goals. Maybe just let us in on the work that you do there at the United Nations, alongside all of these other youths from other countries, and how important is it that we see that sort of collaboration and young people coming together from all different countries and just sharing ideas towards one common goal?
My current role with the United Nations Youth Network, Rojaunu, as an administrator and making sure we get to have different young people in the same space. I make sure that there is letters, like we get to help young people to establish the Untitled Chapter, which we provide support. We help them connect with their UN agencies. So every country has its own UN agencies, and there are certain budgets and certain programs that are meant to help and empower the young people who are driving the sustainable development goals. Those goals were introduced 2010 so that there could be development in the world, in fact, in Africa mostly. So the key thing with the network is that this is young, different people doing amazing work in different countries. And with Africa is so rich with so much. And in as much as we require help from other continents, what's important for us is to unite and to fight, what we are currently going through, because what could be our weakness in South Africa could be the strength in Rwanda, or in Ghana or in Uganda. So when we as young people meet and we get to support each other to get relevant support, because we exchange with programs, we exchange with support on how we are approaching different things, because the exchange of how you are doing things and wisdom and knowledge, it grows one person, it helps them to do things differently, the way that I never thought it could work for me this side. So with South Africa, when we in fact in Africa, gender-based violence is highly and more spoken about in South Africa, right? I can tell you it's because we are very vocal and it's there. It doesn't mean that in other countries it's not happening. It's just that some certain platforms have not been, it's still like a taboo for a woman in a village to report what the husband is doing, So with us, it's a bit better. We've already broken that stigma whereby we are able to talk about things. With other countries, it's still coming little by little, but it doesn't mean that they are not struggling with it. So those are the things that you get when I meet other young people and what are the struggles and what are the things that they're going through. We are approaching things differently. And when we exchange how we do things and how we approach, how we advocate and how we campaign, then now that will help us to have basically a same way, not exactly the same way, but helps us to solve what the problems that we are facing as a continent, if I should say.
Yeah, and are you still involved as well with the Global Citizens? I see that there was a point where they invited you to commemorate International Youth Day. Did that lead to, a solidified kind of relationship going forward, where we see you also doing work whenever you are needed to? Or was this just a once-off? Is there some work that you're doing with Global Citizens?
With Global Citizen, last year, they actually reached out to me and they were uploading the work that we are doing at SheIsBrave. And it was them that they've given me a platform to share what we do, and so that we could be able to probably attract the relevant sponsors or people that can jump in. So it was basically a feature with Global Citizen. So with the way I get involved to do other work, it is through the Untitled Chapter. As I mentioned, that I traveled to Uganda. So there were different young executive leaders that were invited in Africa to be in Uganda, invited by the head of state. So they were celebrating the organization's anniversary that has been there in existence. So it's basically Afro-Arab, whereby Africans and Arabs that are based in Africa to have a relationship, because we look at your Egypt and your Morocco, they feel less like they're not Africans, but hence they're in Africa. So what we did there, we did fruit planting in different village schools around in Uganda. We also got to hold a dialogue in one of the best universities. In fact, it's one of the top 5 universities, Makerere University, with the president of Uganda, Mr. Museveni, in his presence and relevant members. So that's where I get to be very involved in other works, but in different countries.
Yeah, we're wrapping up this interview. It's been an insightful 1 hour of just getting to know you, getting to know the work that you do. Where to from here? Maybe let me ask it this way. Where to from here, where Amanda is concerned? Can we see you also just breaking boundaries and, more or less dealing with the issue of the stereotypes? You're still a young girl, 24 years of age, and I'm sure that, there's still more to come where your life is concerned.
Yes. From here, it's to keeping breaking those boundaries, until we reach to gender equality. It still saddens me that there's not even a single country that has reached where there's gender equality in such a way whereby men are still dominating in other industries or in decision making. I say this because it does look like women are being empowered on maybe local level, national level, but on those big chair states, it's still a very big deal. So breaking boundaries and making sure that we have girls, creating a platform for girls to be empowered, to unleash their full potential and become the best versions of themselves. And maybe a president one day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course. Amanda, you know what? We wish you everything of the best. You're doing an amazing work. And it's really commendable that there's a young person that is really, really at this point in time, more or less dealing with that, just that whole notion of you being locked when you are coming from Kukasi or a place like Ivory Park. We see you still doing great things, and I would like to say that you're remarkable in the work that you do. You are one person that is an inspiration to many young people here in South Africa and abroad, looking at the work that you do. And we really, really wish you everything of the best in the selfless work that you do, in the commitment to issues that you spoke about of social ills and gender-based violence, and the issue of just a nation building, right? So I just want to wish you everything of the best, and thank you very much for coming through onto the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And then, okay, one last one. How does one check you out? How does one follow your work? How does one actually more or less in any way also support? Because we spoke about that collaboration, right? When it comes to humanitarian work and just knowing what SheIsBrave is all about. How does one really get to follow you and offer their support where your work is concerned?
Okay, so I get to post my work everywhere on my social media. So I'll just start with the email addresses where one could like to collaborate, help, assist, volunteer anyway. They could email us at info@SheIsBrave.
Info@SheIsBrave?
Yes, info@sheisbrave.org.za.
So info@sheisbrave.org.za.
Yes.
Yeah, any work that they want to collaborate, teamwork, and whatever they want to offer in terms of support, that is the email address. Yes, and?
And at amanda@sheisbrave.org.za, so they could CC Amanda just in case it's not open on time. But yes, amanda@sheisbrave.org.za. And with our social pages, you get to see what we get up to. Our website, firstly, it's www.sheisbrave.org.za.
All right. Amanda, thank you very much for coming through to the show.
Okay, on Instagram they can follow me. It's Brave Amy, so it will be connected to the other things they could see.
Brave Amy, we'll check you out. We'll
Yes.
definitely check you out. Amanda Nomgxa coming through there and just helping us make sense of the work that she does, and we're congratulating her because she's one person that is doing great after having been crowned South Africa, Forbes Africa, basically it's Young Achievers Award 2022. Everything of the best, Amanda, and I must just say that we're making way now for the Power Up team with Gwena Mwabelo. They will be with you from now at 3 o'clock until the hour 6 o'clock. Do stay tuned to the show. It's me and you again back tomorrow.
You've been listening to a Power 98.7 podcast. For more podcasts, visit power987.co.za or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.